Hi, welcome to the Jenspiration Conversation. My name is Jennifer, and if this is the first time one of my videos has landed in your feed, I very much welcome you to this space. Thank you for being here. Thank you for clicking on the video and stepping into my little corner of YouTube. I appreciate it. The universe put this video in your feed for a reason, so there's something in here for you today that they want to bring to your attention. Returning viewers and subscribers, you have my deepest appreciation as always for coming back to spend time and have a Jenspiration conversation. I am filming this on the Canadian long weekend. It's our first official long weekend. We call it like our unofficial kickoff to summer. It's the Victoria Day long weekend in May. We call it the May long. And when I tell you it's a stunning day outside, it is a stunning day outside. So it's still morning and I'm like, you know what? I want to film today, but I'm already going to grab my shorts and my book and head to the beach afterwards. So if any of you are experiencing like just fabulous weather right now, it's mid-May, I encourage you to get outside and enjoy it. Winter was long and we were inside and it's time to get out there. Anyway, I digress from that. What are we talking about today? We are talking about, I think I'm going to title this video, Spiritual Awakening Triggers. Because when I was first going through one of my many spiritual awakenings, I kind of didn't know what was happening until I was in it and I started to do research. And I'm like, I think I'm going through a spiritual awakening, but I'm not sure. Turns out I was. So I want to make a quick video around a few triggers that might propel you forward to a spiritual awakening. And most of us who choose to awaken will go through multiple spiritual awakenings. Each of them will bring in different things: healing, release, letting go, learning to speak up, opening up your chakras. Like each layer of your spiritual awakening will work on something with you, and then you'll awaken again just to continue to raise your vibration, to bring you closer and back home to yourself, but also closer to your higher self and God, source, the universe, whoever you believe in. So I wrote a few notes while I was sitting with Spirit. Before I sit down to make videos, I typically check in with Spirit to, say, hey, this is what we're going to talk about today. So just a few notes that I want to refer to because I don't want to get off track, but B, I don't want to forget anything. The first thing I want to share is you can probably see that it's highlighted here. The simplest definition I could articulate around what a spiritual awakening is. I mean, there's so many definitions online, different publications, different books. Everyone will tell you something, and they'll articulately say it or write it. But for the purpose of this video, very quickly, what is a spiritual awakening? I wrote here with Spirit and kind of how I feel about it. It's a shift in consciousness, okay, that wakes you up to a deeper sense of purpose and a greater connection to something bigger than yourself. And then I was like, that's it. That's how I feel about what a spiritual awakening is. It truly is a shift in consciousness. It's a shift in the way you see the world, the way you see yourself. It awakens something in you to realize, come home to yourself and go, there's something deeper here. This surface level matrix bullshit that I was living in isn't real. What's real is my greater purpose, that we are all connected. And see how it can snowball into this conglomerate of a definition. But that's what I feel is a spiritual awakening. And as I said, you will go through multiple, if you choose to continue along your spiritual path. You will awaken and awaken and awaken again. So what can trigger a spiritual awakening? I broke it down into larger triggers and smaller triggers. So I'm just going to pause for a quick drink. Hold on. Okay. Larger spiritual awakening triggers. I wrote here, big life changes. This could be something like a job loss, a divorce, giving birth, childbirth for women. That is a big life change. Housing situation, something big, monumental in your life that changes and shifts. Now, for me, my first spiritual awakening came after a job loss. It hit me hard when I got laid off from kind of my dream gig that I was doing. And it took me by surprise, and it completely derailed my life. And you've heard, if you've watched other videos, you've heard me talk about my dark December. I was laid off at the end of November 2022, and December 2022, I don't even remember. I call it my dark December because I was a wreck. So for me, it was a big loss. It was a big change called a job loss. So for you, maybe you've experienced that. Another bigger change could be deep emotional change. So that could be the loss of a loved one. It could be illness. It could be another type of grief. Maybe a deep, meaningful relationship has come to an end and you're grieving that. And that can be a trigger for a spiritual awakening. So for me, it was the job loss that clicked things for me. For someone else, it could be the loss of a pet, a person, housing. So it's something deep. So a deep, big life change or a deep emotional change will trigger a spiritual awakening. There's a tarot reader I talk about on my channel here who I really admire. There's a tarot reader I really like on YouTube here. And she talked once about what triggered her spiritual awakening. And for her, it was meeting her twin flame. She met her twin flame. They were in a relationship and then they broke up, and that triggered her spiritual awakening. So for her, it was meeting and separating from her twin flame. Another one here that I haven't had anyone tell me this, but through my research, another trigger is a near-death experience. And when you think about it, that would be a monumental trigger for a spiritual awakening. You want to talk about shifting your consciousness, right? That wakes you up to something greater than yourself. A near-death experience will do that. So if you've experienced, they call it an NDE for short, but if you've experienced a near-death experience, that 100% likely triggered your spiritual awakening. Okay? Smaller triggers that I have here, I'm going to read them and then I'll just chat. I am filming this on the day after the new moon. The new moon was last night. And when I tell you, if you've watched other videos, I do videos around how women are attached to the moon cycle. My words aren't coming out as eloquently as they usually do, and it's the new moon. There's a lot of energy that was attached to last night's new moon, the May 16th new moon. So if any of you are feeling this way, hi, I'm here with you. Because I'm doing the video and I'm like, why? What is up with the channel? Anyway, okay. Smaller triggers for a spiritual awakening could be as simple as reading a book. A book will be put in your path by the universe. You'll buy it. You won't be sure why you bought it. You'll be reading it, maybe a page, a sentence, maybe the whole thing. I can't snap my fingers. Triggers a spiritual awakening. So a book. A quiet moment in nature. You may be out for a walk one day. You may be on the beach. You may be, sitting by a fire, and you're just staring at the fire, and then all of a sudden there's a shift. There's a click in your mind. And like it's a moment of clarity. So a moment could come to you while you're out in nature. The next one is a dream. A small trigger could be a dream. You could have a dream, source, spirit could put a dream in your sleep, and you'll wake up the next day and you'll be like, wait, what? Why am I thinking differently? Why am I feeling differently? It was that dream. A stranger may come into your path with a phrase, a sentence. You're standing in line getting coffee, and they will say something that you needed to hear right at that moment that is so profound that it clicks something for you, that you walk away feeling energetically different, and then it's going to propel you forward into your spiritual awakening. So it can come through a stranger, which actually isn't a stranger, because spirit and the universe put that person in your path to awaken you. A sudden moment of clarity, like I said, could be happening in nature, or just a sudden moment of clarity. You're sitting there making a cup of tea, and something can shift in you where spirit's like, listen, pay attention. We got something for you. Also, the last one I wrote here is a therapy session. If you are currently in therapy, or you're thinking about seeing a professional licensed therapist, maybe you're in a session with that therapist and that therapist says something or asks you a question that stops you in your tracks and makes you think about something differently. That will click on the spiritual awakening as well. So some of those smaller things, they might seem small, but they turn out to be monumental. So whether your spiritual awakening trigger was big, that's a confirmation. It's really busy down here because it is the long weekend. That's hilarious. I love that. That's spirit confirming this video. So whether your spiritual awakening was triggered through something big that I mentioned at the beginning of the video, or something smaller, regardless, it was all purposeful. It was all meaningful. Something was put in your path to awaken you spiritually. And sometimes all it takes, I wanted to write the last one down here, is just acknowledging your spiritual side. And I wish, you know what? No, I don't, because everything happened for a reason. My job loss was my trigger for my spiritual awakening. But I wish I had sort of acknowledged my spiritual side earlier in life. I always felt spiritual, but I hid it for some reason because I didn't think it was cool. Or, you know, when I was growing up, I have a Pisces moon, so I'm kind of like dreamy and foggy, and sometimes I live in like a fantasy land sometimes. Like I like to go there and daydream, and spiritually I would experience things as a kid, but I suppressed them because I was too shy or nervous to like say what I was thinking or feeling or sensing, and I hid my spiritual side for a long time. So while I do say I wish I had acknowledged it, I wasn't meant to, because everything happens the way it's supposed to. So just acknowledging your spiritual side. If you feel spiritual in whatever that means to you, and you're drawn to go to the bookstore and buy a book, or follow a new YouTube channel, or go to a new group, or just do some quiet research on your own, that's how it starts. I mean, that's what started for me. The job loss and my dark December, I call it, I just went in and I just went down rabbit holes of like researching my greater purpose and all of these things, and it just woke me the F up. So that's the video today. I apologize if it's a little topsy-turvy just because of the new moon that was last night. But the purpose of the video was just to just kind of show you and share with you some of the triggers that you may have just experienced or might experience soon, or maybe you are in a spiritual awakening right now, whatever level you're in, and you're trying to think back, like, where did this start? Where did this come from? It probably came from one of these triggers. And you are not late, you are not early, you are not behind, you are right on time. Everything is happening at the exact moment that the universe wants you to wake up, that source wants you to wake up. And every spiritual awakening you go through is divinely timed, divinely orchestrated. It is this beautiful, magical way that they work with you and your life. I'm doing this because it's like a puppeteer. To bring these things into your path at the exact right moment, especially that stranger that just says something to you that almost knocks you on your ass. Those are my favorite. I love that because I've had a few random people say really profound things to me in the most random of places. I remember midway through my dark December, I was at a gas station getting gas, and I went inside, and the person who held the door open for me, he said to me, "It's a lovely day for a new beginning, isn't it?" And I went, "Yeah, it is." And he knocked me out of a fog that I was in that day because I was so upset about losing my job. It's a lovely day for a new beginning, isn't it? And then he paid, I paid, and I'll never see that person again. But Spirit was like, "Here, we're going to help you get out of this dark December fog that you're in." So that's the video, my friends. Thank you very much for sitting with me and having a Jenspiration conversation. I always appreciate your time, your energy, your attention, your reciprocity. If you feel comfortable and you want to share in the comments around what your trigger was, maybe there's something I didn't mention and you want to add it to the comments to share with the collective. I'm building a community here that's really supportive of one another. So I wish you well. Get outside and enjoy yourself if it's nice where you are. And I look forward to seeing you on my next one. Bye-bye.